Dres, the most boring dwarf planet that doesn't exist. Just remember that Dres doesn't exist. Never has, never will. It is a figment of your imagination. It doesn't exist.
Long, long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, otherwise known as last year in my own room, a terrible misfortune befell me on the dwarf planet Dres. I was in the middle of a mission to it, with the intent being to drive all the way around it using a rover for a challenge, with Dres being one of the celestial bodies I had to circumnavigate to complete it. I had already circumnavigated multiple planets using this exact rover design that I was to use on Dres, the incredibly named Bug Nugget, and didn't expect much trouble, as, on Ike, a moon of nearly identical size, things had gone over very easily. Except, this isn't what happened. Dres tormented me with endless hills that made it difficult to gain and keep any speed, rover physics glitches that made the wheels get stuck in the ground, and, worst of all, decided to completely break my rover's SAS for whatever reason, forcing me to never leave the ground lest I spin out of control and explode. By the time Bob Kerman had finished his ordeal of circumnavigating the dwarf planet, he, and I, were both going insane. And all of this because I had dared to make a light-hearted joke at the beginning of my circumnavigation in the form of a flag. I wished to restore cordial relations, but all Dres did was torment me for doing so. Upon leaving the grey hellscape and setting off for Elu, various offensive finger gestures were pointed its way, and Bob Kerman vowed revenge. And yet, even after all of this, groups like the so-called Dres Awareness Society still have the audacity to show love and sympathy for this clearly malevolent and cursed place. Fools! Dres will surely betray you all. You're falling into its trap of pity, and thus, I am here to save everyone from Dres by eliminating it completely. Alright, enough with the supervillain origin story. How do we actually go about destroying an entire dwarf planet? Seriously, what will it actually take? To find out, we first need to quantify how much energy there is holding Dres together in the form of gravity, otherwise known as its gravitational binding energy, which is given by this equation, where the gravitational binding energy is given by taking 3 times the gravitational constant times the mass of the object squared divided by 5 times the radius of the object, which gives us a gravitational binding energy for Dres of 3.007 times 10 to the 25th power joules. And I totally didn't just use an online calculator the first time and then calculate it myself because I was skeptical. No, I'd never do that. So, in order to obliterate this menace to the Kerbal system from existence, we need to find a way of delivering at least that much energy to it all at once. Okay, how about we try nuking it? They release a hell of a lot of energy, so it'd be easy to... Right. Not even close.
Not even close.
Unless we could detonate about 150 million Tsar bombs on Dres, which I think doing would literally turn my computer into one itself, obliterating my entire state. So what about antimatter? There are mods that allow you to collect antimatter and KSP after all, and collecting just 1 ton takes literally years, and according to my calculations, we would have to collect about 186 kilotons, and then crash it on Dres to destroy it. Again, turning my computer into a slightly less powerful nuke. Also, trying to install the Interstellar mod made my KSP shit itself for whatever reason, so yeah. Which leaves us with our final and perhaps the most underrated option. Raw kinetic energy. You see, all objects that move carry kinetic energy. The faster an object is moving, the greater its kinetic energy is. In other words, if we can crash something with enough kinetic energy into Dres, we can theoretically destroy it. Now the question becomes, how do we actually get something to have that much kinetic energy? There are 2 ways we could theoretically accomplish this. 1. We could go extremely stupid fast, like even faster than the Flash, Sonic, and Lightning McQueen, oh my god guys. In other words, go many times faster than the speed of light, which is something you can just do in KSP because game physics said so. Or 2, be extremely fat and still go really fast. This is probably the easier option of the 2, seeing as we would only have to go at a significant fraction of the speed of light. And thus, this is what we will go with. Of course, we still need to find out how much speed and mass we will actually need, which we can figure out using a pretty basic high school physics formula, the kinetic energy formula, where the kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 times the mass times the velocity squared. Using this formula, we see that it would require a mass of roughly 670,000 tons, traveling at the speed of light to destroy Dres. Or, alternatively, just 67 kilotons at 10 times the speed of light. Or 6.7 at 100 times light speed. You get the picture. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's build a 67 kiloton craft with crazy overclocked engines, and I present to you the KT-67000 Oppenheimer, called that because I am become Bob, destroyer of Dres. Let's test it out on the launch pad.
3, 2, 1.
Well, I appear to have forgotten auto struts. Let's try it again. Right, let's try making it with less layers. More struts. Dude, I swear I've literally made rockets bigger than this for normal purposes and they never blew up like this. What the hell's going on here? Anyways, after installing tweak scale and modifying it because the maximum size in the mode of 20 meters wasn't actually big enough, I present to you the Oppenheimer 5, which literally just consists of a 100 meter fuel tank, a cupola, a probe core, and a bunch of overclocked engines. Okay, let's launch it from the runway. Well, I mean, it worked. But Bob is dead.
12 seconds later.
Alright, let's go slightly slower this time so Bob doesn't die. And here we go. Immediately following the launch, the craft rapidly began to accelerate at a rate of nearly 20 kilometers per second. And yeah, while that sounds really fast, it's still gonna take ages to reach the speed of light. Oh, and would you look at that, several hours later, we've reached about 2/3 the speed of light. It's at this point that I realized that I'd actually gained fuel from using overclocked engines, so my mass was actually higher than I anticipated. Which meant that I wouldn't actually need to go as fast to obliterate Dres, so yeah, I guess we'll stop here instead of going all the way to the speed of light. I then made my final adjustments to my trajectory to intersect Dres and began time warping in. As I approached the planet, I could only anticipate the feeling of vengeance and the satisfaction that I would feel once this puny planet was suddenly no more. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I just flew through Dres, okay. Well, apparently the game could not handle Bob's power, so I had to resort to other means. Now armed with the power to more effectively bend space-time at our will, thanks to the better time warp mod, let's slow down time to 1% normal speed, and...
Meanwhile.
Dres is no more. And neither is Bob, but he has indeed sacrificed himself for the greater good of all Kerbal kind. Let's go to the astronaut complex to pay our respects. How? You know, I thought the time Jeb survived crashing on Minmus at 4,000 meters per second was pretty impressive, but this is something else entirely. Clearly, Bob is far more powerful than any of us ever realized, and he shall rule over the universe with an iron fist. Thanks for watching.